Welcome to the Root of It All podcast with Tree, your human behavior expert. Did you ever wonder why you have the behaviors that you have or how to change them? Did you ever wonder about different people in different industries and what made them good at what they do? Well, this is the podcast for you. You're learning all about human behavior from the experts. So cozy up, go for a walk, or go for that drive that you've always wanted to, and get ready to learn. Learn about you, learn about others, because us as humans, we are the funniest creatures on this planet. So let's learn together. Hello, everybody, and welcome again to the Root of It All podcast with Tree. And today I have a very amazing fellow that has his journey led him here, there, and everywhere. And so let me introduce you to Andrew Costa, and he is the owner of Coach to Coach Systems. And this is a very interesting thing that he does. So welcome, Andrew. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to just chat about all things. I feel like our conversations, even like off podcast, are really great. So I just know that there's going to be a lot of fun here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, let's teach people what it is that you do. And this is a great segue into when we talk about human behavior and the way that us as humans are integrating with technology nowadays and the things that are changing when it comes to healthcare, right?
Hmm.
So teach people, just give us the overview of your services that you provide for health practitioners.
Absolutely. So first of all, I'm super pumped to be here. So thanks for having me on. So Coach to Coach Systems effectively helps health coaches and practitioners grow and build their business to transition into different other avenues outside of one-on-one coaching. I think the industry of health is very accustomed to working in one-on-one care. However, there are a lot of other ways that people can actually receive the help that they need, whether it's via self-paced programs, group programs, online offerings. So we help that practitioner effectively help more people and grow and scale outside of trading their one-on-one time. And it's really about maximizing their reach and then also doing things in ways where clients can stay in their world longer, whether it's learning about the pre-care leading up to one-on-one or even just things that they can do maybe post-rehabilitation or other things afterwards. Because I feel like practitioners are always growing and they learn and have a knowledge base that's more than just that individual thing that they might be working on that person with.
hmm And the cool thing that I love about the service that you provide is when somebody has something going on with their physical body, that is like the unknown. And now with the internet, everybody just automatically goes to like Dr. Google. So
Mhm.
the service that you provide is great because you're giving a practitioner an opportunity to put their expertise out there online. Because even if, say, somebody referred a health practitioner to somebody that might need their services, guaranteed they're going to go online and search, right? So
Mhm.
if and it's we are in the era of information. So if someone goes online and sees just a practitioner that just has a small little website, as opposed to a practitioner that has a website, more collateral, has like other offerings, right? That there's
Mhm.
more options, then I think that that would be more attractive.
Hmm. It's interesting you talk about being in the era of information.
Mhm.
Absolutely, we're in the era of information, but the way that people are searching and utilizing information is significantly different. I would say pre-COVID, the era of information was people were looking for information, but they also applied it. They would find information, they would use it, they would take charge. We are in the era now where information is abundant, especially around healthcare and the way that you can take care of yourself. But a lot of people are on the consumption side of information.
Mhm.
And because they have a consumption overload, they actually don't utilize anything anymore.
Yeah.
So where I see a lot of the practitioners are kind of in the struggle zone or trying to figure out how to navigate the industry is people were searching Google for symptoms. They were looking at WebMD. They might look at a couple of Google reviews. They might check out someone's Facebook page before they go and make a decision on who's the practitioner I work with or what's the next action step for me and my health. Now it's actually completely different. People will look to someone's Instagram page first. They will look to a TikTok channel. Instagram and TikTok are primary searchers for someone's level of credibility. And then they're going to Chat GPT next. So Google is no longer this thing that is the primary search engine for someone's health. People are going to look to I guess in the industry, we'll call them like the fitfluencers, which is basically what is their brand reach? How visible and how vocal are they? And then they're now making decisions on their health based off of 60-second to 2 minute effectively infomercials, little decisions, which is the diet should be this instead of that, or here's what you're doing wrong. And this is where people are in this space where, especially with their health, there's so much information. And I would argue that it's all correct because people can apply many different things in different stages of their life and it will work for them. So
Mhm.
now people are in the effect of consuming that information, but not actually doing anything with it. And that's where we find ourselves.
Well, and the interesting thing is about that, when you're talking about somebody's looking at something for like 60 seconds, that is how long it takes or how short of a time it takes for somebody to create rapport with somebody. Like, so the person that's watching it, they're getting not sucked in, but they're relating. So whoever is making the message, that they know that they're relatable. So it's relatable information for people to connect with that. Um, and it's fast that, like, the whole thing about this is fascinating because when we look at these little posts like TikTok or Instagram, or even the stories on Instagram, they're just pictures or videos, and each one of those has an emotion to it, right? So our nervous system right now is in like emotion overload, because if
Mhm.
we're looking at, say, I don't know, if you're looking at stories, you can probably look at like 20, 30, maybe even 40 of them in a minute, right? Your swipe, swipe,
Mhm.
swipe, right? And so our nervous system isn't really, that's not our natural state to go through that many emotions or that much information that quickly. So right now, it's like our nervous systems are all over the place. There's a massive need for healthcare, like in all
Mhm.
sorts of different modalities. Like, um, actually, this is a really good segue. So when I started off in the health industry, probably about 17 years ago, there was like, maybe even 18 years ago, there was just like doctors, dentists, chiropractor, physiotherapist, and those were like the top ones. But
Mhm.
now we have like acupuncture, osteopath, Bowen therapy, cupping, like all sorts of other modalities.
Mhm.
So what's your take on that, and where do you see it going, or just your sort of thoughts on the growth of that?
I think it's expanded so much because people were not getting the care that they needed, and these industries developed to support the in-between care. I think in the beginning, it was you saw a GP for something, you would refer to a specialist, the physio, chiropractor, maybe even some people saw a little bit of naturopathic care, would support those initial specialists and GP visits. And that was effectively it. You had a complete care and a complete service and system. Now, because people are in this space where maybe they're not feeling they're getting the right type of care, they're seeking not just specialists, but individualists to help with a specific issue. And it's no longer, I want to see a GI specialist because I have a GI issue. It's like, I'm stuck with bloating, or, in your case, some examples, I can't get rid of my smoking. I still have these intense cravings, and I've seen and done the traditional route. And now I need someone who is solely going to help me with this individual issue. And this is where, when you look at all of these areas, like osteopathy is a great example of this. Effectively, an osteopath can do what a chiropractor can do. They can do a little bit of what a massage therapist can do. They can do what a physio can do. And it's really just saying, well, what does this person individually need, and give them access to many of these things. So I think all of these positions sort of created and self-developed because there were needs that were still not being
Mhm.
met. And this is where we have to look at how is people's current level of care, how is that being dictated? How is it being delivered to them? When you look at something like chiros and physios, they're great examples of this. When they have a cap of the amount of people that they can serve,
Mhm.
the only way to get past that to help more people is to shorten the amount of time or cheapen the quality of service. And
But you
this is
don't want to
where,
cheapen the quality of service,
right,
right?
but
Like,
people do, right? I mean, I'm sure you've been to those chiro clinics where it's like you get billed for 45 minutes, but it was a 10-minute adjustment and you're doing like 10 minutes of exercise in the back, right? But that's just the reality of trying to deal with the volume because there's so much need. So these areas have grown so much just because there really needs that additional level of support that only a specific person in that area can really help the patient with.
yeah, it's fascinating how it's evolved. And to your point in terms of the need, like if you go to your family physician and then you're booked for some tests, but you can't get into those tests for like months. So it's kind of like
Mhm.
you're either stuck in your head and just thinking about it, whereas people are being their own advocates and going and at least booking something to um, get like not like get a second opinion or to get some relief from something because they still don't know what's going on with their physical body because they're waiting for a test, right? Like
Mhm.
so. Um, Teach people about how it is, like, why did you decide to open this? Like, like, how did you find out
Mm.
the need that to create more of an awareness for the health practitioners? Like, was it a personal experience that you had, or that you just saw that, it was a need, or?
Mm. How many years do I have? No, I'm just kidding. I guess well, so I was a practitioner myself, so certified nutritionist, registered dietitian, had certifications in personal training. I went into the industry originally as a practitioner because I had hormonal issues. I've struggled with hormonal issues for almost all of my 20s. Started in early 20s, continued to get worse and worse, had to have a couple of surgeries, had to go through different treatments. But the care that I received was not the care that a young person should have received,
Mhm.
where a lot of the times when you do not look physically ill, it is either dismissed as something mental, it is inside your head. These are things you're making up, maybe an early diagnosis or a diagnosis of depression. Or it's something where they go, you probably just worked out too much. You're probably just overdoing it. Rest. And that was largely my answer through my
Mhm.
health journey, which was you're doing too much, you're working too hard, it's all in your head. And I went from GP to specialist, I went from specialist to 8 urologists. And it got to the point where I had one specialist that told me, you've seen all of my friends. I'm actually not going to hear you out today. And this prompted me to get my care in the States, to actually pay, to go over, to have someone be like, hey, here's what the issue is. And they were able to actually find it really quickly and get the support that I needed. I went into the industry largely because I spent a lot of time hopping from waiting room to waiting room.
Wow.
And you hinted at this earlier. The worst and most frustrating part for someone is the area of not knowing.
Yeah, the unknown, because then your mind just goes off in all kinds of different directions.
Mhm. So that waiting room to waiting room, which was GP to specialist, specialist to hospital visits, that's something I never would ever want anyone to experience. And I
Hmm.
was so fortunate and so blessed after I had a varicolectomy and basically one of my gonads didn't function right, so I had to have it removed. And after all of that, the treatments and everything, I had to go through that. I was left in a state where the medical system was technically done, but I still didn't feel great. And I was so fortunate to meet one of my very first coaches who helped me with nutrition and who helped me with my activity, getting me back together. His name is Chris. He's the one that inspired me to get into the industry.
Mm.
He saw a person who was not broken. He helped me not just on the level of take the medication and here you go, but here's what you need to actually get your life back on track, and saw the potential in me to be like, you could help other people too.
Nice.
That's what made me get into this. But the transition into coach to coach came from the realization that a lot of these practices close and that a lot of these professionals burn out because they're not good business people.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to say, I did not have as many certifications or qualifications as some of the people around me,
Hmm.
but my business flourished because I was fortunate to have a lot of people in my family that knew business.
Yeah.
And it
And
really sucked to, yeah, sorry, you first.
yeah, yeah. And because what I want to add to that is like, I told you before, like I have a website company as well. And that's a thing. Like these practitioners, they're passionate about what they do and they get their degree and they want to help people. But then all of a sudden, how do you grow your business? How do I get online? How do I tr attract clients? And so they're literally, they like open up a brick and mortar, put their name on the door, and then what? Right? Like it's
Mhm,
like, you know, and then there's all these people that need help as well. And it's like this big kind of like disconnect sort of thing. So that's another, obviously, why it is that you're doing what you're doing is to get help
mhm,
these practitioners get the word out there and to get the people the help that they need as well.
mhm. Yeah, it happened on both fronts. And I was tired of my place in Oakville doing very well, but speaking to friends who were across the city that should have been doing the same and were just really struggling. And these people, like the stuff that we do, and I mean, we could use the word hero, but really it's you're being a guide for the person who is on their journey of health.
Yep.
You deserve to live a quality of life as well as the practitioner, as the professional, where your practice is flourishing, where your business is growing, and where you can feel fulfilled instead of feeling burnt out. But these people were doing all of this work, changing these people's lives. And like the person who got me into this industry, I mean, I would check up with him all the time. And then one day he just calls me out of the blue. He's like, I'm closing my business. Like I can't do this anymore.
Hmm.
And it's not like that for every professional, but the burnout and the inability to scale past themselves and being stuck always trading that time, it's a lot.
Uh-huh.
And I will also say it exists with GPs, it exists with specialists.
Hmm.
They're, seeing an average of 80 people a day. Of course they're going to burn out. How can you fit that in realistically?
And it's an interesting thing that what happens in the nervous system when you're interacting with so many people, because we essentially, and I think you and I had this conversation before, that we are just pockets of energy circling the same planet, right? Each and every human
Mhm,
being, just a pocket of energy. And so when you're a practitioner and you're seeing so many people in one day, and then all of a sudden the amount of people that you're seeing in a week, right? It's almost like an unnatural thing. Also, it's impossible to not bring a little bit of that person with you, right? So we as
mhm,
humans, our natural state is to protect ourselves. So say a doctor, and so let's talk about a doctor first, and then I want to talk about an ER nurse. Okay. So
mhm,
a doctor, like it's a little bit controlled in the theme of that people are coming in, they're looking for help, they probably booked an appointment, and then they're going from room to
mhm.
room and seeing people, where they're taking home with them the people that they can't help or that they know
Yeah.
that are terminally ill, right? Like that has to really be heavy on somebody's nervous system. And so let's talk about like ER doctors and nurses. Like, because I work with a couple of them because in their nervous system,
Mhm,
it's like it's on high alert. So it's even hard for them to sleep if they're on shift work. The fact that they cannot unexperience things. So imagine all of the
mhm,
things that come into like an ER and that they're they're dealing with it and the human body means something totally different to them. right? They can
Hmm.
look at the human body in a very different way from what it is that they've experienced, right? And so it's interesting to for us as the patients going in as opposed to the practitioner and what the practitioner, to your point, ends up taking home with them, right? Like
Hmm.
it is totally a thing. So going back to what you do to help alleviate the pain and help them to connect with the people that need the help, um,
Hmm.
and to get the information out there. But it's an interesting thing for us as humans, and I like a shout out to all the people like in ER and that do all
Hmm.
of those things. Like something I could not do. I'm even wheezy, like even seeing blood. Like yeah, there's no way I can do that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Me and blood don't jive. So, it's interesting you talk about that because I see kind of two aspects where there is a lot that you can do to help them navigate through that. But then there's a lot that they're going to have to do to navigate themselves through this. I see the lens of perspective. Some of them have permanent perspectives when they can take that perspective off and maybe set that away to adopt a new perspective. As an example, with that ER, there are a lot of people who would consider the ER seeing the best of the best or the worst of the worst. It's babies and it's deaths. I mean, that's what you go there for. Those are two very big extremes. And there's a perspective that exists in between that can also exist for these people, but they have to first remove one perspective.
Yeah.
And then the second piece is the identity. I have a friend who is an ex-paramedic. He was in the field for a very long time and he made the transition last year just because it was taking a lot of energy from him, where he knew he was and he's okay with me sharing this because he's been very vocal about this to everybody.
Yeah.
He knew he was energetically out of this for like 2 years. And the hard part was his identity was that of the paramedic.
Mm.
And so many of us in the health field, because usually we come from lives where we have been personally changed, we are stuck and attached so hard to that identity that we can't envision another identity without that of the professional, that of the fixer, that of the coach or of the doctor. And we say, well, if I remove that, I who am I? What is left for me in this world? And that's a very big thing they have to do, which is on their own as well.
Well, and that's a really great point because also too what happens, not only is it the identity, but it's also a nervous system thing. So for example, using this fellow as a paramedic, that he's used to also either shift work, he's used to
Mhm.
urgency, like the adrenaline. So a lot of people that like firefighters, cops, and things like that, like I've seen lots of retired people that they've lost the excitement. All of a sudden they're in stress and anxiety because they don't have that adrenaline of it, right? So when and it can definitely cause havoc on their relationships and moods because from a nervous system perspective, they're looking for that excitement. And sometimes people will go to food, so they'll put on a whole bunch of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and or they'll go to something that's unhealthy like alcohol or something like that because they're still looking for that quick kind of like high or excitement. So even though they're leaving it because it's causing havoc on their nervous system, but then not recalibrating and keeping up with like um maybe intense fitness is a good outlet to get that adrenaline
Hmm.
up. So, not properly placed, it could then default to something else. But it's
Hmm.
interesting, like us as humans, when like you say about identity, when you're in an identity or your body uh, just morphosis to whatever it is that you're doing. Like it,
Hmm.
like they call it the mailman syndrome. right? Like somebody, they can still be
Oh, I've never
overweight.
heard of that. Okay.
Yeah, so like the mailman syndrome, it's just like people, even though they're walking like hundreds of miles a day, well, not hundreds of miles a day, but you know what I mean? Like they're
Right.
going from door to door, but their body is used to doing that, so they can still be overweight, right?
Mm.
So the fact that we can do something over and over and over and over again, thinking that it's a good thing, where we need to change things up. That's why actually, like high level sports, like people in the NHL or the basketball, football, they'll off season, they'll play another sport. So their body is using different muscles and stuff like that.
Mm.
Because if your body is just doing the exact same thing, then it could actually do worse to the body than good.
Absolutely. You have to keep your body second guessing. And then you also have to keep your mind second guessing and then your emotions second guessing. There's always that level of growth, I think, on many ways where you can just continue to like improve. And I think I had a conversation with my mentor last week, which has left me a lot of reflecting because a lot of conversations for me this week have come up on not just identity, but redefining. We've talked a lot about these practitioners as business owners, as professionals, and also seeing the patients. And it's really redefining, like, once you have this new identity, you now have to set new agreements in your life. You have to set new definitions of what success is going to be, what failure is going to be. You have to set a standard. And then you have to understand what a standard actually means because many people, when they are navigating these changes, they set an external standard, but they keep moving the flag
Mm.
as opposed to it's a level of commitment that it is something that stays there. And I think all of this is really great, especially leading into these next coming years, because people saw this beauty through COVID and through their journey of health, maybe not having access to as many of these practitioners, that it really is on them. They have all the power, they have all the ownership that comes with responsibility, but that also comes with a level of control that you are actually the one who can make all these changes, see all of the progress, take on this, all of this on if you want to, and if you decide that's for you.
Yeah, and it's great to have all of the choices too. Like that, I think with technology and other things that are going on right now, there's a lot more options. Like there's a lot more, sometimes people can look at it and be afraid because again, it's the unknown, right? When it comes to
Mm.
technology and I mean, my dad doesn't even have a cell phone. Like he's just like, and
Really? Oh
yeah,
no.
yeah, I know. My
I say
dad
that
is
as oh
like,
no, but maybe it's
well,
a blessing.
I know. Well, it's hilarious because even like all the TVs nowadays, it's run through the internet. But if you ask me, he's like, no, I don't have the internet. I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, I go to his house and I get on the Wi-Fi, like, because I set everything up.
Nice.
But we ignore things that we don't know about. We'll avoid things that make us feel uncomfortable. And so I think even as health practitioners, if they're integrating technology or even um, the uh, um, the end user, like to be comfortable like with the technology. Because I know, like again, my dad doesn't have a
Mhm.
cell phone, doesn't have the internet, so his he has to call. Like so, his phone is like his
Mm.
only way to the outside world, and it's fascinating to. I kind of I always reflect on this because so you just got back from Portugal, right?
Yeah.
And so like my husband and I, we went to Portugal about 2 or 3 years ago. And when I told my dad, his only reference to Portugal was that his neighbor across the street is from there and had a place there. So and my
Mm.
dad had this like book that he could open up that had like a map of the world. So that was his only
That's cool.
reference. Yeah, that was his only reference. So he like it was so funny because his nervous system just went a little crazy because he's like looking at it on a map and how far it was. He's and my dad's never been on a plane, okay?
And
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
he doesn't even have a passport. So, yeah, so
That's incredible.
well, and so it was funny because my dad called me and he goes, okay. He goes, Victor, across the street, he has a house. He's in this town. And like my dad needed to have something, like if something went wrong, that he knew somebody that like he had to have like some sort of
Hmm.
connection. And that was his version of it. And my point is that we all as humans try to make sense of whatever's happening in our world around us through our own lens,
Hmm.
right? So when it comes to healthcare, the reason why people are looking for information or looking to get more information or to get answers is to try to make sense of what's happening in our own body that also makes sense in our world, which
Hmm.
that statement alone, it just would never make sense because it's like a round peg in a square. That doesn't make sense. A round peg in a square hole. No, a square peg in
That'll
a round
fit. That'll
hole.
fit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's fascinating how us as humans, our expectation for the world around us is to be a certain way, but it will never be that way. But yet we're still surprised when it's not.
Hmm. I think to your point of developing that lens and even how, both the patient gets better care in this new world and the practitioner gets an equally better life in this new world, it's understanding that things can be done differently, but instead of having fear of the unknown, it's actually seeing the positives and the benefits of this growth. And I think sometimes when we're seeking the information, it's largely to figure out, well, how can I see a benefit for my client? Ultimately, practitioners, they want to benefit for their clients. They want to know that their
Yeah.
clients are being taken care of and that they're seeing better results than they were before. And then
Hmm.
the second thing is how does it affect me? And we get to this level of information where we have enough information to make a decision. And actually, at that point, being more informed doesn't change the lens. It actually only clouds the
That's
lens
great.
because it puts too
Yeah.
many things that's in front of you. So I think as someone who's going through their own health journey, there comes to the point where if you understand, even if you don't know where your issue is coming from or where the stem is, if you know what is going on and you know that you need to do something about it, that's enough information to say, what is the right professional? And that's the next question. It's just, who is next? Who do I work with? And you
Hmm.
just continue the process of elimination. I think from a practitioner perspective, when you get into a space where you say to yourself, my original goal was I filled my clinic, I filled my time, I was able to help these people. The question then becomes, well, what is next for you? And that's different for everyone. Is it, I want to be able to travel, but still help people? There's options for that. There's ways you can help your patients online for that.
Hmm.
Is it, I want to be able to actually bring my patients together to give them a community? It's about doing something that actually excites you more than the fear. And I think, at least I can only share my own personal experience. I'm a very average human being. I actually don't have any like specialties. I am scared of a million different things. I have tons of fear in my life. The difference, though, is that I use excitement to give me courage, and that allows me to do all of these really great things. It allows me to try new things in my business. It allows me to see the possibilities in things. It allows me to operate, even though I might have very little information,
Hmm.
is I just become excited enough to take 5 seconds of courage and do something. And it's really just the action.
Uh-huh.
So I think we can use a lot of the positive, the excitements, and the moment of that to build momentum from that moment.
Hmm.
But we have to look and from the perspective lens, we have to don the perspective of there is going to be something positive here. there is something else outside of this in which I can grow. Because if you do not change your perspective, any decision or action you take outside of that, whether it's for your health or for your business, you're going to get the result through that lens.
That's
And
right.
that's what will either leave you feeling not great or maybe leave you feeling different than the way you thought you were going to. And I'm sure you see this with your clients too.
Yeah, I love that. That was so well articulated. That's that's
Oh,
awesome.
thanks.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's um and so we're gonna have all of like I can't believe like it's been like 40 minutes already. It's
Oh, how's that whole crap?
I know time whenever
Yeah,
we
sounds
get
about right.
I know whenever you and I get together, it's like time just goes by so quickly. And so we're going to have all of your information. So anybody that wants to get in contact
Mhm.
with Andrew, and I know I'm meeting with you in a couple weeks, which I'm super excited. So stay tuned, everybody. That
Me
hopefully
too,
Andrew,
yay.
yeah, can get a bunch of really cool collateral stuff online. Um, so what do you want to leave people with? Like if they're actually, let me ask you a specific question. If people are afraid of the unknown of getting their stuff online as a health practitioner, what would you say to them?
You have to look at what fear is, and it's false evidence appearing real. There are so many aspects in our life that we have these concerns, but they never have actually developed. They don't actually have any substance behind them besides what you're putting behind. And I recognize that the fear is there. Acknowledge the fear. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. But from a fear perspective, there's really only three. Can I provide the value and the same level of service to a client? The answer is always yes. Because guess what? The result doesn't come from you. You could tell someone something, and then 2 weeks later, they change their life and they actually haven't seen you the whole week. The
Mm.
second thing is, will a client do these things without me? Yes. With the right community, with the right accountability put in, with the right course curriculum that you can create, a client is a self-led human being. And just like you make decisions without the oversight of someone, someone can take a piece of information and if they've got the right tools, they can run with it.
Mhm.
Then the third is, can a person get to a place where they no longer need you without your time? Yeah, people do it all the time.
That's
It's the greatest fear is that as the practitioner, you are fearing that you no longer have a relevance. You're still relevant. People want you, they need you. You can change so many people's lives. That's it. So if you're hesitating on the online space, it is solely because you're afraid of not being relevant anymore. And guess what? You matter. That's it.
that
It's that simple.
that is awesome. That's so awesome. Well, thank you again so much for sharing your insight and sharing what you do, because it is very important for health practitioners to get out there online to well, they studied to be of service, right? Like to help people to
Mhm.
um so thanks again.
I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on. Our conversations are always so great and it's
They are
crazy
so
because
great.
it's very very seamless and the energy work that you put as an attachment to everything, both
Mm,
working with businesses and working with your individual patients, is really crucial because sometimes it's not just about the how. Like we all know how to do things. Sometimes it's
yeah.
about why, like why we're not doing the how. It's about the where or in your life are you not actually implementing the how. There's so many other things. So the energy should always be first, and you lead that first, which is why our combos are so great. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's the proof too, right? So the cool thing about like you and I are in alignment in so many different ways because we're giving people proof and people need proof to keep reaching, right? To keep reaching. And actually, I forgot to mention, so tell people the name of your podcast as well so people can follow your podcast. And we'll have the link.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So there's a podcast called the Hormone Helper Podcast where I bring on amazing, health coaches and practitioners to effectively educate other people on many different things for their health, whether it's hormones, nutrition, lifestyle. That's an amazing piece. And then I also run the YouTube channel, which is called Coach to Coach. So this is solely for practitioners only, but it's just talking about different things in the industry and ways you can build and grow your business.
Awesome. And we'll have all these links for you guys. So thanks again.
Beautiful. Thanks.
And thanks for listening to another great episode of the Root of It All podcast with Tree. So if you want to check us out on Instagram or Facebook, you can go to Business Growth Results on either of those platforms, or you can even go to businessgrowthresults.com if you have a suggested topic or theme, or you want to get a free hypnosis download. So we'll talk to you soon. Till next time, see you later.